Crypto presents exciting new opportunities for the investment-minded, but it's also volatile and accelerating in complexity. That's why we created Token Metrics, an intelligent crypto platform backed by an industry-leading combination of data, AI, and media that feeds optimized portfolios to crypto investors. Featuring Token Metrics ratings to help you find the best investment opportunities in real time, an indices page that showcases various model portfolios, and deep insights into price predictions and technical analysis. Plus, with access to Token Metrics TV, monitor 24/7 exclusive crypto news and analysis. Whether you're a first-time trader or a seasoned crypto investor, you can stay informed and in control, backed by your all-in-one crypto companion, Token Metrics. Take control of crypto today at tokenmetrics.com.
The market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. This show is brought to you by tokenmetrics.com. If you need a roadmap in crypto and you need to take advantage of a possible bottom, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, please smash the like button. All right, so today we're going to go through crypto news, and we're going to do something crazy. I'm going to talk about the case for a squeeze. It could last a week. It could last more than that. I'm already seeing a whole bunch of hate on Twitter at just the idea of it, and I've got a few other stories that you're going to want to be interested in. So we're going to start with news. We're going to do the market update. We're going to chart the market live, and we're going to do like a Token Metrics deep dive and start looking for altcoins so I can show you how to start looking for altcoins, right? And then we're going to make one brief note about an NFT project that we've recently recorded a separate video on for a deep dive. So I'm continuing with the NFT series, altcoins, charts, news, and everything you love here on the market update. Now let's welcome everybody who's come on in, right? Next coin up crypto first on the stream, right? We have Soli Sol is here, right? Grice, Andrew Judge, right? Wax, San Paulo, Brazil is here. Okay. Mr. Santos says, yes, yes. Aiken with the notorious love. I appreciate that, right? I made a 30% gain. Should I take the profit? Well, we'll talk about that. Okay. We have Brisbane is here, right? I see Italy. Moon still from Andre. Let's talk about the moon, right? We have Kenya. Kim Craig says, hi, Bill. I'm feeling bullish, or am I foolish? You know what? I feel the same way. Like the thought of being bullish actually makes me nervous, which makes me think that I may be on the right track. We have Portugal here thanking us, Token Metrics, for our dedication, and we appreciate you and your business. Right? We have Steve J is here, California, right? Crypto Crazy, hello. London, Tennessee, Covina, California with the notorious love, right? We have Poland, all right? Rodolfo says, will crypto go up if the Fed decides to print? Well, part of my thesis is the Bank of Japan is the one who's printing. Bob Marsh talking about Zcash, one of my favorite subjects. Right? The Netherlands, somebody giving Token Metrics some love, right? Ecuador, Denmark, right? Somebody wants to check Vechain. We will go through all the altcoins we can for the weekend. All the altcoins we can. All right. Somebody from North Carolina saw us last night on Debate Crypto. So I debuted on like a Thursday night TA show with a guy who I like, who I met at Consensus Crypto Keeper. Interesting, he told me afterwards that normally they get about 500 people on the stream and they only had 125. And I'm like, does that sound like revulsion to you? Where people are like, oh, I'm so disgusted with this, I don't want to touch it. Oh yeah, let's talk about that later. Okay. Ted from Tokyo, right? Up late at night, right? We got the loving feeling from Chicago. All right. Somebody calling me the chiropractor because I'll help straighten you out. I will do my best. San Jose, California, Brazil, and India. Okay. Atif says, is the market really bottoming or should I get out now? Good question. All right. We have Philly and Baltimore, right? And M4L loves our work. All right. Now, hang on to those requests until the end. I know we got a lot of burning questions out there about our altcoins. So let's just, you know what? Let's take it chill. Let's go one step at a time and let's talk about the news. Okay. So let's start with the obvious, right? The obvious is that, you know, Celsius is bankrupt. They've got a huge hole in their balance sheet, right? The news comes out that the ailing crypto lender files for Chapter 11 protection. Okay. They have $4.3 billion in assets, and nobody knows if those assets are going to get sold, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen with those assets. So if you're bullish, right, that's something to check. All right. So a restructuring expert told CoinDesk that Celsius is going into uncharted territory by filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because there's no precedent for a crypto broker trying to navigate through a reorganization as opposed to an outright liquidation. Okay. So the firm was actually able to reclaim 1.4 billion in tokens by repaying loans or repaying somehow DeFi protocols. Most of what they hold is in wrapped Bitcoin and a staked ETH derivative. Okay. So to state the obvious, you could wake up one day and Celsius and their creditors could be selling everything at the market. I totally get it. And, you know, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. The market went straight up and then it went straight down. So when you do a trade or when you come up with an analytical framework, there's always things to consider, particularly what can go wrong. But what strikes me about this is now headline news, right? Before it was there's something out there and it ain't no man from the Predator movie. Now we at least know what it is. Speaking of knowing what it is, 3 Arrows Capital liquidators are trying to secure their Singapore assets. Okay. And, you know, the partners of 3 Hours Capital, right, have been missing since last week. So obviously that's not a good situation. But the thing is, we know about it. We know about it. Now, a little bit word on the Ethereum merge. Okay. The Ethereum merge is still on track for mid-September. Okay. What I find really interesting about this is there was some fear around the merge that a lot of the staked ETH from proof of stake would come out of staking at that time. And a lot of people, including me, were afraid that if they did the merge in July or soon, right, that all that staked ETH would come out and get sold at the market. That's one of the reasons why I was afraid it was going to go down. However, they are telling you that the merge timeline isn't final. What a surprise. It's exciting to see it come together, but this is a planning timeline and look out for official announcements. Okay, so they haven't finalized anything when it comes to the Ethereum merge. Now, just as a point of information, we are doing a deep dive video. We've done a deep dive report, which you might be able to find at research.tokenmetrics.com. And I just wanted to put up Otherdeeds for Otherside. It's got a 2.7 ETH floor price. We're doing a deep dive. Okay, so not investment advice, but as I understand it from our NFT analysts, this is a combination of metaverse and NFTs, potentially all in one. So if you're interested in value investing in NFTs, we have our analysts scouring the market for opportunities. Again, this is not investment advice. It's something we are looking into. Okay, let's take a look at additional news. 5 events that could put an end to the current crypto bear market. A successful Ethereum merge, approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, the Fed reverses course and moves to printing money versus draining money out, adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender, and crypto integration as a payment option by a large company. Okay, so how about one event that could put an end to the crypto bear market? And it's actually none of those. It's none of those. What puts an end to a bear market, okay, is a rally no one believes in, right? No one believes the rally off the bottom. No one, right? So when Bitcoin was at, 25, I was talking 10. Then all of a sudden it got to 20 and everybody was talking 10, right? I was actually talking 1929 crash, and I actually thought it was going to be worse than that. But the market stopped going lower. It stopped. Somebody was down there at 1,000 in ETH. Somebody was down there at 20,000. All this bad news hit the market, and you had to ask yourself, is the force selling over? Or is the force selling on hold? Does the market have to go up before it goes back down? Now, if there is a rally, no one will believe it. And you don't have to have a catalyst to have an epic rally in a bear market. Rallies can last a week. They can last a month and a half, right? So where I was talking about Rectember, well, you may not get Rectember. You may not. The crystal ball may have some fog on it. And at the moment, I am actually more inclined to say that there doesn't have to be a catalyst to start a rally. Matter of fact, just like the decline, right? It was beware the failed rally, and you really didn't know what was wrong. You suspected something might be. Just like now, you have to, in research, you get paid for imagination. Now, these 5 events, that's a good try at being imaginative. My answer would be the Fed's going to have to hike rates so high that when they hike rates the next time, whether it's 75 or 100, okay, that's pretty much going to guarantee a recession, right? It may or may not stop an inflation, but it's going to guarantee a recession. And crypto smelled the tightening, and crypto smelled the decline in risk assets a long time ago, right? Crypto topped like what? November, December last year. So crypto was way ahead of the rest of the market, or way ahead of other risk assets at the top. Crypto may be way ahead of risk assets at the bottom. So barring another avalanche of selling from bankrupt crypto players, right? And given the fact that retail is out, everybody hates crypto, no one even wants to talk about it. And when bearish guys like me suggest it could go up, there's some robust hate in my Twitter about the idea that I said down on July 4th and it didn't happen. All right, now that's okay. That's Twitter. That's the game. It's all right. But it could be a technical indicator. It could be. So with that, let's go to your market update. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of the band Devo, but if I've got this correct, they had a song called Rip It Good. I'm not going to sing it for you, but that I can't get that out of my head about just an absolute rip. It could last a week, right? It could last 2 or 3 weeks. So let's ask ourselves a question, right? It's Friday. Let's ask ourselves a key discussion question. What would it look like if the market went up? How would people behave? Would they fight it? Would they jump in? Or would they ignore it until it was so high that they were forced to jump in, which could be the place where you would sell it? Let's talk about it. We have a function on the Token Metrics Markets page, which I'll show you later. This dot all the way on the right side shows that XRP was up yesterday 4.6% on like 3 standard deviations higher volume than normal. And I have said on this stream, wouldn't it be funny if some positive XRP catalyst helped propel the market up? Somebody bought a ton of XRP yesterday, right? Steve Lopez said, are you bullish on XRP in the long run? All right, I'm leaving that trade to BitBoy because it's a legal case. But the way I like to look at XRP as a short-term catalyst play. All right, and then somebody else says, okay, it's obviously very simple. DXY topped out and we mooned. That is also something I have not brought up. And I have talked about a temporary top in DXY. Okay, token metrics. Everybody is searching YouTube for Uniswap, QNT, and MATIC. Why? Because the coins do nothing but go up. Now, on the top chart, the top right, the yellow line is the token metrics grade for Uniswap. What we always like to look for is a grade that's based on artificial intelligence and machine learning. We like to see the grade moon before price moons. Okay, so far, the token metrics grade has done nothing but go up. Uniswap down here on the bottom chart has a green signal on our visual trends indicator, which is also a machine learning type of signal that just gives you like buy and sell signals, right? Now, obviously here, back in March and April, it was beware the failed rally, okay? Now, I think it's interesting that Uniswap got the green signal, went sideways, and is now gliding higher. When I've seen this thing work, that's how it works, right? It'll glide and go. So Uniswap may be a little overdone short term, and there may be better plays like Bitcoin and Ethereum. This chart demonstrates that you got to comb token metrics to find grades that are high and things that the computer is also signaling the trend could start on the upside. Because we may go into it later, but there was one of these green signals that showed up in Seek VR, and our customers on the ratings page, which I don't give away for free on YouTube, you know, they have been able to get on board with some altcoins that have been going up for a week. Now let's take a look at the Uniswap chart. There could be an outside the box head and shoulders pattern happening. So if there's support in Uniswap at 682, that upward sloping neckline can be very powerful if Uniswap dips and then starts to move away from the neckline. So there was an advertised Uniswap price prediction in the title of the video. Uniswap could go to 9.8 if the market goes up. Okay, I think it's very interesting that the decentralized world was considered dead until there were problems with centralized exchanges. And I don't know if big hedge fund money is ever fully going to go back to anything centralized, particularly with the overhang of 3 Arrows and Celsius still out there. Now, Sandbox, speaking of what I've been speaking of, which is everybody is considering metaverse and NFTs dead, and I beg to differ. Okay, there's a green signal in Sandbox. Now, the last green signal did not work on visual trends because there was a pretty serious bear market going on. However, I'm looking at how beat up Sandbox is, and I'm asking myself, particularly if our guys like Otherdeeds, right, that we're looking at that, and they wrote a positive deep dive report on that way back when, if it's time to start looking at Sandbox. MATIC has also gone green. Now, I know there's a big MATIC hater out there on Twitter, okay? And every time MATIC has gone green, it has really not worked out, okay? At least so far since the top. So MATIC has a lot of resistance at 70. I know it hit, and there was positive news about Disney. So the question is this: is MATIC priced for perfection, right? Has all the good news come out, or can MATIC punch through? Alternatively, if MATIC can't punch through, can MATIC Uniswap and say, you know, Quant be examples of coins that actually lead the market out. So you may not have to chase MATIC, but it may be worth looking at other coins on token metrics and all kinds of charts. I've got 30 slides today, right? Is MATIC telling you if MATIC doesn't turn around and go down like it did all the other times during the bear market? All MATIC really does, in my mind, it has to hold for there to be a hint that the market structure may be changing temporarily or for, say, like a month or two. Now, let's look at QNT. QNT has done nothing but go up. It went from 57 to 121. Okay, in the past, when QNT has gone up, it really goes up, right? That's the way it was in July of last year. Now, that was during a high liquidity period where the Fed was printing. However, this is a really unique system. Like somebody's buying XRP and somebody's buying QNT. Someone is buying payment plumbing. So QNT could go to 121, right? Now back to token metrics, AI, machine learning support and resistance. There's no machine learning support, or I'm sorry, there's no machine learning based resistance in Uniswap until 9.9. Like, wow, right? What does the crypto market look like with Uniswap at 9.9? Not investment advice. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm late. I'm late on Uniswap. Okay. And I'm not shilling Uniswap necessarily. What I'm saying is, if these are the leading coins, what will follow? That's the most important thing. I'm not trying to tell you to jump on stuff that's up. As a matter of fact, I would want to jump on stuff that's down. We'll go into that later. Okay. QNT. Whoops. Okay. So let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we've done some research around solstices and equinoxes. All right. I actually had some help on this, and hats off to the person who helped me with this. So when the seasons change, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter, there are patterns where whatever crypto does into that change of season, right, it usually does the opposite soon thereafter. One of the best examples of this was the June bottom last year. So June 30th, June 20th, in the bottom left-hand corner, okay, you had an initial bottom. Then you had this kind of range, and then this final puke in July, roughly 30 days after the original bottom. Off the original solstice, and then crypto went up a lot. I mean, this was, once the bottom was made, it was up only, at least for the first week and a half. Now, you come back over here, the solstice was the 20th. 30 days later, roughly, is July 20th. Okay, Gann work suggesting a bottom in the next 2 or 3 days. So you may get a dip. Then again, you may not. Okay, this pattern, okay, isn't the same, but it's sort of similar to what happened the last time crypto bottomed around the summer solstice. All right, now I left all the other, change of seasons out to focus on this. Also, it's all over YouTube that there's something called a pi cycle bottom, right, that shows up at the recent low. It's basically a system using moving averages, and it's quite catchy, and it matches the seasonal work, right? So interesting enough, no one's bullish. Anybody who is bearish that even tries to be bullish gets hated on. Technical analysis live streams have got 1/5 the amount of people that they normally have. And everyone is focused on negative news rather than imagining what could be positive, which could be a DXY top, okay? Or just the idea that the tougher the Fed talks, the more likely a recession becomes. It's as simple as that. And crypto has had a history of ripping through catalysts that most people are afraid of, like, ooh, I can't get long crypto. There's a Fed meeting in 15 days. Okay, well, what happens if Jerome Powell comes out, raises rates, talks tough, and then crypto joins the bond market in saying, all right, well, they're raising rates now, but they're not going to be raising rates in the future. If anything, they'll be cutting rates. In other words, crypto can be one of the most forward-looking markets. Now, the alternative is you're wrong and you get stopped out. So what? So what? Okay, let's talk about CME Futures, Bitcoin. 20K is support. I know that's laughable, right? You know, it's like, I'm like, oh, Bitcoin's going to get away from me. And I was like, wait a minute. Bitcoin is at 20K, right? 21,500 is an important level. So if you want to wait to see it gets above 21.5 or 21.7, that's fine. But I haven't talked about 20K being support at all. I haven't, right? Because everyone else talked about that. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm kind of believing a break. It did, but they couldn't hold it, right? 20K is holding, and 20K was the high of the last cycle, right? Is it time to focus on that? And is it time to say, well, if Bitcoin's going much lower, it may be later, and I don't know when, but it may be later. It may take more time for crypto to work itself where it can go lower. In the meantime, the focus on the fact it could go higher. Now let's talk more about the last time crypto was down only. That was 2014. In the middle of this PowerPoint slide, there's a huge hammer candlestick, right? So you can see right here where the mouse is, okay? Bitcoin went from 590 to 400, and then it came all the way back that week. And then the next week, it ripped up from 525 to 700. So from the low of 1 week to the high of the next was like an 80% move. Now, I know that's 2014, but let me ask you this. What would happen if everybody all of a sudden realized that there was an end to the selling? Remember how I talked about when there's forced selling, if there's a break in the forced selling, all of a sudden, there's no selling, there's no seller. There's no seller. So the marginal buyer who comes in lifts prices. So does it really make me a hypocritical bear to suggest that you could have a 1 to 2 week rally that's really robust? So here is the weekly bars from 2014. That's in the blue, plotted against the daily chart of crypto today. So as you can see, you know, we tracked 2014 pretty well with down only, and we may be in a position for a rip higher. Maybe. Okay. Okay, now let's look at altcoins like Avalanche just as a break from Bitcoin. So, you know, Avalanche started at 9. It went to 140. It went back down to 19 or 14. Could Avalanche go back to 81? Could Avalanche unwind what it did in the past? Like what it did on this down trade? Could it unwind all of it? Probably not. But that's where the resistance is, at least on the DeMark chart. Now let's go back to ETH. So I just proposed two crazy things, right? I talked about a big rally in something like Avalanche, and I proposed that you could have a big spike up in Bitcoin. Now, here's some of the reasons why I think that could happen. There's a 13 bottom on the Ethereum daily chart. And yesterday's rally confirmed the 13 bottom. So unless ETH turns around and falls out of bed again, this is a confirmed DeMark bottom on the daily chart of ETH. Also, this yellow line was the bottom of kind of like a homemade Gann and DeMark based support band. And ETH has been below that for over a month. And now ETH is climbing back above it, right? The low of the band was around 1,000. The next group of resistance points just on the DeMark daily chart could be 1550. Okay, now let's take a look at ETH weekly. All right, now as of now, if ETH stays, say, above 1170 or 1200, okay, I know there's 2 days to go, but if ETH wound up with a positive weekly candle, right, if it closed near its high or above 1208, there would be a confirmed 13 bottom on the ETH weekly chart. Now, I have ignored this because I was assuming that we were in a 1929 environment and this thing was just going to crack. Could that still happen? Yes. But I would be remiss as an analyst if I didn't bring up that, this confirms the 13 bottom, and the next resistance that I have on this weekly chart is 1700. So yeah, there's risk of downside if Celsius liquidates all at once, right? Bitcoin is the same thing. If Bitcoin closes above 20,800, I've talked about the next resistance at 27. Now let's go a little bit outside the box, just a little. So for Bitcoin, for July, Bitcoin's having a stalemate for this month, right? Like June was down only, and July is a stalemate. And I'm starting to wonder whether or not July, because it's a DeMark 8 rather than a 9, but sometimes what happens is prior to the 9 bottom, there can be moves up. So there could be a move up this month. There could be a move up next month, right? Somewhere in here, there may be a DeMark 9 signal on a monthly chart. Now, why am I talking about that? That seems too far in the future. All right. Well, it may be. There may be more downside, but you have to start asking yourself, is there possibility of a relief rally? Everyone has talked about a relief rally, right? But no one really has said, well, the relief rally could be much bigger than anybody thinks. Most people say there could be a relief rally and then it turns around and goes back down again. I don't disagree with that. What I disagree with is people blowing off how big the rally could be. Let's take a look at Solana on a weekly chart, right? So if you look at Solana on a day-to-day basis, you're like, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. Then you look at the weekly chart and go, oh my God, this thing's been sitting on support at 32 now for almost 6 weeks. Let me just count this. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Solana has been sitting on support for 6 weeks. Now, is Solana my favorite coin? Not really, but you do have a combined 13 and 9 bottom, and that signal has been confirmed, and it's sitting on support at 32. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can't be short with a confirmed 13 and 9 bottom. Support is at 32 and resistance is at 110. Now I know everyone's gonna be like, okay, Bill, shut up. It's not going up there. I'm like, all right, fine. It's not going to go up there. But if there's a spike like there was in 2014, or if you've got one of these seasonal based reversals, no one believes the market can go up. Cosmos, right? Layer 0. We did a Cosmos deep dive at the start of the year. It got 10K views, right? Then Cosmos turned around, okay, and it went straight down. However, the theme of Cosmos and Layer 0 remains. Now, when I look at this, it's very simple. The recent correction in Cosmos was a big ABC. Matter of fact, that's the biggest ABC I've seen in a long time. There's also a DeMark 9 bottom near the low around $4 or $5. Okay, and Cosmos is up from there. Now, did I miss it? Maybe. But let me ask you something. Can you imagine a world where Cosmos goes back to 25 or 26, which is where this DeMark point is? Now, I know if Cosmos goes to 3, there'll be hate, all right? But I think it's time to start asking yourself, what happens if this thing goes up, okay? This is near protocol, right? Now, this chart's not labeled right. It's not supposed to be a B. It's supposed to be a 13. All right. But the point is with near has gone back to where it started. Okay. It's back to where it was in July of 2021. Now, does this mean near is guaranteed to go up? No. But I think this whole idea of layer ones is something that people have capitulated on. And if DeFi, derivatives, and yield farming, which we'll look on token metrics, there's life in DeFi, right? What's the message of QNT, Uniswap, and MATIC leading the market up? It's not necessarily to buy those coins. It's that, like, decentralized anything is not dead. It's not dead, right? Even if you're paying gas fees on ETH, if MATIC takes out 70 cents or even holds up there, that could be a sign crypto is not dead. Now, speaking of crypto being dead, this comes from our token metrics markets page, which we'll look at live later. Okay. Do you realize that only 8% of big cap coins are above their 60-day moving average? 60-day moving average is something we back tested with AI and machine learning. So how destroyed is crypto? Well, most of the top 100 coins are not even close to their 50-day moving average. So what would this look like if, say, you went to the other end of the dial and 60 or 70% of the coins were above their 50-day moving average? How much upside would there be? Like, one of the lowest rated videos I've done so far had talked about when to buy Bitcoin. Now, I thought it was going to be at lower levels. I don't think people want to talk about crypto at all. Speaking of DXY earlier, okay, DXY has resistance at 108.80. Now, the euro going below, it was like $1 equals 1 euro. That was all over the newspaper. The Bank of Japan may have stopped risk assets from going down by flooding the market with yen. Okay. That's what did cause the final rally in dollar index. Now, I can't guarantee anything about what's going to happen with the euro or with the yen, right? But what I can guarantee you is no one is talking about the dollar index pausing. No one. Now, maybe that's because it won't pause. But if it does, what happens to crypto? Okay, let's just go through some common sense thing. ETH, the original rally off the low, ETH held the 62% retracement of that low twice. So it held 1,037, and there's a lot of evidence going across multiple forms of charts that, in retrospect, 1,050 was the buy point in ETH. Okay, here is the Pi cycle bottoming indicator for Bitcoin. This was 2 days ago. And the Pi cycle bottom in ETH was right around 1050 3 or 4 days ago. So again, this is all over YouTube, and it's really interesting. It's interesting that you would have a DeMark signal and a signal from like TradingView telling you very similar things, right? It's never one thing that you trade off of. You trade off multiple things. Okay, Sandbox. Now, there's a signal in DeMark's Elliott wave work. It's like a 0. It means that's the top, that's the bottom, that's the end. Now, it is somewhat interesting that there was a 0 at the top of the Sandbox move, and there was a 0 at the bottom a couple of weeks ago. No one is talking about the metaverse. No one is talking about NFTs, which makes me want to talk about it. Sandbox is showing up in some of the token metrics indices, and I think it's an interesting altcoin. Just think it's interesting. Okay, here are the quant levels in Bitcoin. So 19,300 in the bottom left was a key point, right? So it went down there and it held a couple of times. 21,700 is a key level to take out. So if you're not really interested in Bitcoin and it's not taking out 21,700, maybe the market's not going up. But if Bitcoin does take out 21,700, there's more room to go up. And again, I keep going back to 2014, and I keep coming back to that research about the solstice, right? The oversold crypto market, etc. Okay, Solana had quant support at 35.61. The next level on our AI is 58. Now, Solana has just range traded, hasn't done anything, may not be the best coin in the world, but rather than looking at, you can look at Uniswap, you can look at Quant, but look at what's down, right? Look at what they've been killing. Now, here's ETH, okay? And again, I think the whole market could be summed up with this chart. So if you look on the right-hand side, okay, 1050 was a quant support level. And it went down there like 3 times. And I didn't make a big enough deal about 1050 because I was looking for 800. Now, I guess if we're going to see 800, there'll be this huge thing over the weekend, and I'll be the village idiot with this video stuck on YouTube. However, if 1050 does hold, or it did hold, and then ETH is sticky above 1208, you start moving 1346, 1459, and then 1656 above that, right? So if they tried to force it lower and can't do it, and if 1208 is support, then what do you do, right? Does anybody want to pay 1200 for ETH? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think anyone is interested in buying stuff when it's up. I think a lot of people, including me, wanted to buy it when it was much lower, and it didn't get there. So on one hand, you can say, I didn't get the level I wanted, so I won't do the trade. That's fair. Or you could say, what is going to happen if this market continues higher? Does there have to be a reason? Or could it just be an absence of selling? Because there is a lot of non-belief out there. Okay, RUNE. Okay, cross-chain DeFi, cross-chain trading. Again, is anyone going back to centralized exchanges? I don't know. RUNE is not perfect, right? I've been to a lot of their presentations, right? I went to one at Consensus. I met a lot of people who were involved in the project. That doesn't mean it's a good project, and this is not investment advice. But I do know that RUNE had support at $1.65. It didn't quite get there, and the next level is 306. So this is an example of what might happen in small coins. Again, what are you looking for? You're looking for things with high token metrics grades, or you're looking for things that they have good fundamental stories and they're down so much, right? You can't help but say, is this worth a shot with a stop? Okay, Polkadot. Okay, now I've been sort of joking around about the support at 7 in Polkadot, and now I'm not joking around anymore. Polkadot has literally been pushed out of a car, right? I mean, it is just like down, and the bears are just like leaning on it. So it's creating this downward sloping wedge. Except what's happening as Polkadot makes new lows with this yellow line right here, all of these different momentum indicators, Williams and regular RSI, are making higher lows. That means if Polkadot takes out 7, okay, Polkadot could go, I don't know, Polkadot could go to 12, right? Zcash. I was like, all right, I want to buy Zcash at 33. And I went on and on about it. And I'm like, all right, well, that was nice, but it didn't get there. And it may get there later. And I found 49 or 50 as an interesting level in Zcash. And I think with something like this, like with all these levels, you ask yourself over the weekend and next week, did the levels brought up on these charts or your charts or token metrics charts, did they hold? Did the markets go up after hitting the levels? And is the market showing signs that it either like dips and comes back, or it starts accelerating on the upside? Okay, you've got the confirmed 13 bottom on the Zcash daily chart, right? And then there's DYDX, right, which could be really interesting if it takes out $2.26. Now, luckily, I was talking about DYDX early because Token Metrics flagged it early. Now, if you take out $2.26 on this, there could be more upside. So I don't want to shill something that's done a 1x, okay? But I am saying follow the leader, right? If this coin continues to lead, these other big coins can follow, and that is the market update. Okay. All right. So we got a lot of requests coming in. All right. Okay. So the dot chart is telling the pi cycle bottom does not work every time. I'm new to that, right? We've got requests for Tezos, 1 inch. Okay. Synthetics, somebody can't look. Okay. Somebody thinks QNT is going to moon higher. Somebody coming in from Warwickshire, we appreciate you. All right. Somebody's talking about Rose. Okay. Someone's asking me if ETH 2.0 will create a dump in ETH. It probably will, but when is ETH 2.0 going to come out? Right. And is everybody talking about when is something going to dump? And nobody is talking about when is something going to go up. Right. So here is the chart that I was referring to. So this is kind of like live TA, right? Now, there was an 80% move up from low to high. If there's an 80% move from this week's low, so if Bitcoin goes up 80% like it did in 2014, from this week's low for laughs, that's 34K. I mean, you know, if something was that, you know, depressed, okay, and it all of a sudden took off, okay. So this is stocks, okay. Now I know this is laughable, but do they smell a Fed pivot eventually in stocks? Stocks are up 1.8% today. ETH, right? I'm actually going to go to ETH on Token Metrics. All right. Let's get some requests done first. Okay. So I'm primarily focusing on weekly charts. All right. Freedom Cat from Austin. Suneeth, I appreciate the love there. All right. Okay. Let's go to SNX. See if there's any hope there. Okay. So, you know, not everything is going to rally, right? But when you have synthetics, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have 5 with a 0. So that's implying end of downtrend. Okay. The 2020 low from the DeFi crash was 2.47. Now, is this token, does it have good tokenomics anymore? I don't know. But when I look at this, I'm like, look at the battle that's gone on at this 2020 low at 2.5. So maybe this is dead money. Okay. But what would the world look like, right, if synthetics turned around and attacked what I would call the previous fourth at 8? Now, I'm not shilling synthetics, but sometimes what a market will do is it will go back and retest where the give up trade started from. Something to think about. Tezos Again, it's Friday. We're taking our time here, right? Because really, I want to get this right. Like in equities, the mortal sin is to miss a bottom. Okay. In crypto, I think the mortal sin is to get too bullish at a top and suck people in. But in equities, the cardinal sin was to miss a bottom. Now, in Tezos, again, we have to ask ourselves, you know, is this a good project? Okay. This project, all right, back in 2020, this thing traded around $1.25. It's still there. There's a 13 and a 9 signal, but this week, if it was an up week, okay, would theoretically confirm some of these bottoms. Okay. So if you're in coins that are destroyed, I think it might pay to wait a week or two. Okay. Crypto.com, I saw had some life earlier. Okay. Again, on the weekly, there's a 9 bottom, and sometimes when it counts to a 4. So when it goes to the 9, it goes 1 through 9, bounce or range, and then it starts to count down to 13, 1, 2 to 13. Now, I know this is complicated, but when you have a failure at 4, you can have a turnaround. So let's go to the daily chart, and let's see if there's any evidence that there's a bottom in crypto.com. Oh, look, it looks just like ETH. There's the 13 bottom, and if there's an update today, that's going to confirm the 13 bottom. Now, is this the greatest crypto in the whole world? No. But what would happen if there was an absence of selling for 1 week to 1 month? Does anybody want to pay 12 cents for crypto.com? I doubt it. I doubt it, which is why maybe you should. Not investment advice. I mean, when ETH was at 3,000 and I'm like, sell in May and go away back in April, to be honest, I didn't care if I was wrong. That's probably why it worked. Now, it was awful because there were all these rallies that kept spiking up in my face, and I kept saying, beware the failed rally. Now, but that was, I didn't care if I was wrong, but that was still emotionally difficult. The reason I didn't care if I was wrong, because if I was right and I got people out of the way, I would save people a lot of money. If I was wrong, I could just turn it around. Just turn it around, right? I produce content every day. That is the benefit of producing content every day. If the charts change, you turn it around. Now, if we look at Chainlink, okay, so Chainlink made a 13 bottom and died, right? So that's the daily chart of Chainlink. When you look at the weekly, okay, you don't get much on the weekly. Let's just take a look at the monthly. Okay, and there's not a lot there either, except for this fact that July will be an 8 and August will be a 9. So is DeFi dead? Is DeFi dead? Right? What happens when everyone talks about something being dead? Does it stay dead? Or does it like try to come back to life? So maybe Chainlink is dead money, meaning it doesn't really participate in any rally, or there is no rally. All right. Let's take a look at DYDX on the DeMark chart. We looked at it earlier. Okay. Interesting about DYDX. All right. It is at the top of its recent range. So it hasn't gone past $2. Okay. There was a 9 top. Okay. It did the counter trend move. Now it's trying to resume. So is DYDX the best play in the world? I don't know. If I was long it, would I give it a chance? Yes. Would I FOMO in at resistance? Not necessarily. Not investment advice. Let's take a look at the weekly chart if I haven't already. Okay, again, so this is the case that DYDX is okay. I mean, this is so brutal. You get the 13 bottom, you get the 9 bottom, right? But then it comes back above a key DeMark point at 1.5. Okay, this week, DYDX dipped back to 1.5 and came back. So when you look at it on a weekly chart, like just straight up DeMark, plain Jane, the resistance of DYDX is at 520. That's all I'm going to say. There's a dotted resistance line in DYDX at 520. And I think that the way to think about it is, what would the market look like if DYDX went to 520? Okay. Somebody gave up on Link. Okay. Okay. All these charts are going to look very similar. The 13 bottom is this week in IOTA, but it's not confirmed yet, but it's there. And I've been ignoring these DeMark signals for a while, and I'm not inclined to continue ignoring them. Okay, there was support in IOTA at 25. Okay, there was support at 25 cents, and that support held like multiple times. So is this the greatest coin in the whole world? I don't know. Could it be A, B, C up to 36 cents? Maybe. Okay. Would I give this a chance? Sure. I mean, how many times you've been living with the threat of this thing going below 25 cents since early June? So if you've actually held on that long, well, I don't know, give it another 2 weeks. Okay. Someone looking at near, so I do have that called up on a weekly basis. So there's the 13 top and near at 18. Okay, there's the 9 bottom. I did go to a DYDX function at Consensus. I actually met a bunch of people who are building like market-making mechanisms on top of near that are somehow connected to DYDX ecosystem. Not really, don't have the exact details, but it was an interesting conversation. Now, you know, everybody was very hot to trot on near. Venture capitalists were paying 8 and 9 to get involved. It's got a 9 bottom, and it looks like there's support around 3.25. I mean, again, if this is down only and then a 5-week base, what happens if it turns higher? Like, let's ask this question. If near is currently at 350, if near went to 6, would you want to buy it? Probably not, which is why it could go to 12. Now, again, not a shill, not investment advice, but when is a good time to take a shot? When the whole market's asleep, when no one believes it, when everybody I talk to wants to talk about 10K, short it and walk away and forget it? Yeah, I know there's a bankruptcy out there that could kill the market. That could kill this video. I could look like an idiot. So what? The best trades are the toughest trades. Selling at 3,000 was tough. I didn't care if I was wrong. Now I'm like, well, this trade's really tough because I don't feel comfortable being bullish at all. But now I'm like, wait a minute. Are all those people with dry powder, if I don't say something now, they're going to be like, well, Bill, we missed it at 3. Should we buy it at 6? And I'm like, okay, well, not investment advice, but how about we take a shot now? So that if it goes to 6, we can make a decision whether to add or just take the money. And let someone else sweat having to buy it after it went up. Okay, why not acknowledge HEX? Why not? Okay, not getting anything on HEX over here. I'm noticing that ETH is back up 2.5% after dipping to our quant resistance, our quant pivot point. Okay, so this is HEX. This is the daily chart. Okay. So I drew support at 0.0349, and HEX is still sitting at 0.0349. So I blow this up and I'm like, well, you know, I'm not sure how HEX got down here. I'm not sure about the fundamentals of HEX. I know I interviewed, along with Ian Bellina, the founder of HEX, right? And the guy scared me. Okay? Right? But he had a great personality. And if I could pull off a look like that, I'd probably have a lot more followers. Now, that said, HEX is not breaking support at a downside target. And I will leave it at that. All right. Now, if there's any way, just bring it up to my producer. If there's any way to block the premium GOAT, please let's block that. Okay, let's go look at Harmony. Okay, so, you know, I'm not picking on Harmony, but there's a DeMark 13 and 9 bottom. Okay, this thing is basically back where it started from, right? It's not above 2 cents yet. Can this come back? You know, I don't know. I don't. There's a 13 and a 9 bottom, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Now, when things come back, not everything will come back. Now, what will rally first? Well, the stuff everyone gave up on, the stuff everyone hates. There's a big guy on Twitter that hated MATIC. Nobody thought Uniswap would ever come back, and everybody forgot about QNT. So whatever you own, you don't know. Like, that's why I'm like, well, if you've been holding out, well, just maybe you hold out a little longer. Whereas before, I'm like, get out and preserve capital. I'm like, you still may have to do that, but you don't know if your coin is a part of like the dirty dozen. There'll be the dirty dozen that everyone hates that'll rally, like DYDX or Uniswap, right? And then there'll be the nifty 50, right? The coins that people go, wow, I missed Polkadot at 7, or I can't believe I didn't buy ETH at 1,000. Okay, that type of stuff, right? Okay, Senor Gartley says people will be upset now that they didn't buy Link around $6 when it could be much, much higher later on. Okay, now somebody's asking me, why Sand, not Decentraland? Look, no particular reason. I just saw a really interesting signal in Sand. Okay, Decentraland rallied today and came off. It's had 3 straight up days, or 2 straight up days. Okay. Now, Decentraland is similar. It doesn't have the 13 bottom, but again, where is Decentraland? Well, it's where the whole metaverse rally started from back in September of last year. In other words, you're getting a do-over in the metaverse. Now, what does that mean? Well, I don't know. Decentraland has been down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Okay, so it's either dead money or it's got a shot at a pop. In other words, what happens if ETH goes to 1,600? Where is Decentraland? Okay, now, still holding my Vechain. Somebody was asking about Vechain. And then somebody was asking about the macro outlook. Okay, well, the macro outlook's pretty simple. The Fed's going to be scary, inflation is scary, and a recession is coming. So how is that going to get traded? And of course, there are people that may need to liquidate a ton of crypto. So is being bullish stupid? Maybe, or trades are the toughest trades. Okay, so Vechain has the 13 and the 9 bottom. Let's just go look at, say, a 4-hour chart to see where we are. Okay, so again, Vechain looks pretty overbought short term. And the question is, right, is Vechain going to hold around, where it made the recent low? So some of these altcoins are going to make it. Some of them may not. Now, You're not going to know that until you get some flavor. With ETH up 2%, you know, I would maybe hold on. That's why I kind of switched the time frame over to the weekly charts, because I think I got caught looking at short-term wave counts and not thinking about the bigger picture. So if there's a dump on Saturday and Sunday night, like somebody was alluding to, if they try to come in and puke the Celsius risk, like I said, we're going to find out. Now, somebody was asking about 1 inch. Let's take a look at 1 inch. Let's start with I would imagine the short-term charts are not going to look very good. Okay, trying to pull up 1 inch. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, so 1 inch up 4% today. Okay. Okay, so one thing that's interesting about 1 inch is when you look at the Williams oscillator, right? The spread between the blue line and where it is now, you know, indicates obviously a deep oversold condition, right? Now, this is another method. And if you look at this, I'm going to plot it as 1 inch weekly. Okay. So when you're looking at 1 inch, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 decent looking candlesticks that hint that you could get a reversal, because 1 inch is so stretched out relative to like a moving average system. Okay. Gary wants me to check the double bottom in Arweave, which I think I've seen on Token Metrics, and we're going to go surf Token Metrics next. Okay, so, you know, on the 4-hour chart, you've got some intraday FOMO, right, going on. And the question is, will people come in and buy the dip? Okay, so you got a nice 13 bottom here, and you've got a burst through resistance at 1357. So the question is, will people, you know, buy it where this thing broke out from, or is this just an ABC fake out, and I'm going to come in Monday and look like an idiot? Let's look at the weekly chart, and then we'll go to Token Metrics. Okay, Lawn Shark is asking me if there is a pump, right? Do I think the bear market is over, or is it just a pump? Okay, I'll meet you in the middle. I don't think the bear market is necessarily over, right? But it doesn't stop a sharp 1 week rally, and it doesn't stop a gradual rally over, say, a 1 or 2 month period of time. We'll see, right? I think the question of is the bear market over may get answered, right, later. Like, in order for the market to go lower, it may have to go much higher first, right? In other words, it can't go lower when everyone thinks it's going lower. It's got to go lower when everybody is convinced it's going to 100K. So theoretically, there's a 9 bottom in Arweave. It hit a support point at $8, and it's got resistance at 34. Okay, now the big question, the question that everybody is probably wondering about, what about Cardano? Let's look at the Cardano weekly chart. Okay. So Cardano's got to get above 50 cents on a weekly closing basis. It hasn't done that yet. Okay. If we look at the Cardano daily chart, okay, there's literally nothing happening. But it could be very interesting if this is A, B, and then C is up here. Maybe, right? Right now, this looks very unenthusiastic. It probably needs a catalyst. Now, that doesn't mean there's no catalyst, but it probably needs something to get it going. Let's just look at ETH monthly. Okay, again, you know, I'm sorry. Cardano monthly is telling us the same thing that a lot of other charts are. Okay, I think when it comes to Cardano, you got to get above, say, 46 or 50 cents before you get too excited. Now, let's turn out of this and let's just go surf token metrics. Okay, so first, sector indicator analysis. Okay, yield farming, 75%. Token metrics grades coins. It has artificial intelligence that will grade coins. Now, these are the sector grades. Okay, now token metrics also has grades for individual coins. Okay, so this is what I say for the customers. So GMX has a grade of 86%. It's done nothing but go up for a while. It's got a bullish visual trend score, right? Here's Seek VR, Quant. Okay, there's Arweave, somebody was talking about, Sandbox, MATIC. Okay, and then you can scroll down here, right? And then there are other smaller coins, right? And you can see that, you know, okay, Aave has a strong quant grade as of now, but the visual trends indicator hasn't turned yet. So not every coin has turned, okay? So let's just take a look at Seek VR for a second. All right, so, you know, if you've been following the site, obviously it's on a strong buy. The quant grade mooned in June, right? In late June, the quant grade went from, you know, went to 84 when Seek was at 20 cents. So this is a lot of times what we look for. We have analysts that look at this, and this is just a great place to do homework, right? Seek went to 80 when the price was at 20, and now Seek is at 32. Because when our visual trend score came in, you know, this is kind of amazing, right? You get the signal, you get a little sideways action, and then it takes off. This is a sign of a real deal rally. Now, have I done all the homework I can do in Seek? No. But I do know that if this type of behavior spreads, right, it could trigger the whole market. The most important thing is token metrics customers are finding these things. And if the market has a shot of going up over the next month or over the next week, you know, token metrics can pay for itself very quickly. Very quickly. Okay, so we're looking at the markets page, and here is the dial that shows you, right, that only 8% of large cap coins. This is analysis of the long-term trend by looking at the proportion of coins that are trading above or below their 60-day exponential moving average. 8% of the coins. Now, maybe that's because it's a bear market. Okay. Now, this I find fascinating. This will sort coins by what's gone up a lot in price, right? So this axis is the daily price change. And this axis is how big the volume is, how much it deviates from normal. So somebody bought XRP yesterday, right? We have FIDU, Songbird, Decentralized Social, okay? Seller Network, DYDX up on volume. So, you know, if you're like, hey, what went up recently and what's worth studying, this gives you an automatic thing to just sort of roll over tokens, right? SHIB is moving. right? Like the market is in kind of a mood to speculate. Okay. So token metrics, is also providing, indices. Okay. Notice, right? Some of it's in cash. Okay. But Sandbox, MATIC, Aave, Uniswap, Sushi are starting to pop up. Now, again, if Uniswap and Sushi and Aave are in leadership positions, they led the way down, right? Let's go to Aave and just look at the chart, right? Aave led the market down. Okay, but the token metrics grade has moved. Now, that's probably because Aave has done well, okay? But there's the green signal in Aave. So Aave has gone green, and Aave has been going down since October or November of last year. So Aave led the way down. Aave may lead other coins back up again. So, and I know that there is a way to go on token metrics. Our support team can help you with this. There is a way to go on token metrics and set Telegram-based alerts when some of these coins go bullish on our visual trends indicator. So let me go back to ratings and just show you this. Because I can tell you right now, this is what we're doing, right? We're looking at coins and we're saying, okay, Polygon has got a quant grade of 85 and it's gone bullish on the visual trends indicator, right? And you can actually get alerts when any of the coins that you're looking at go bullish. So if this rally lasts beyond 2 days, which it could, okay, this is where you're going to go to get altcoin information. That's where I'm going, right? All right, so let's sum this up. All right, so somebody wants to know more about Vechain. I'll do it again. Okay, so Vechain on a daily chart didn't quite get the 13 bottom. It's trying to do better. Okay, Vechain on a weekly. Okay, it would be a beautiful thing with a 13 or a 9 bottom if Vechain did turn around and have an up week. If you've suffered with Vechain, suffer one more week. Just give it one more week, right? Not investment advice, okay? Okay, here's Mina. I think this is something that we're interested in token metrics. Okay, so it's stuck in a range. It never really got going, right? And I think the key is, like, people wanted to not share on the screen. Sorry. Thank you. So with Mina, you got a couple of dips and people brought it back. Now the question is, will people want to buy it when it's up? Will people pay higher prices to get in? Okay. Will people pay higher prices to get in? Is anybody going to pay $1,200 for ETH? We will find out. If they are willing to pay $1,200 for ETH, look out. So let's sum this up. I'm taking a break from being a mega bear, right? I'm risking turning my back on the bear, looking at this going, you know what? If they can't kill this over the weekend, they may walk in Monday morning and say, the sellers are taking a break. If they do that, this can go up. This can go up, right? And it could go up a lot. We don't know. Now, buying bankruptcies in 2008 did not work with equities. It didn't. Will it work in crypto? I don't know. Okay. But sometimes the best trades are the toughest trades. And frankly, right now, I think it's really tough to suggest with ETH 15 to 20% off its lows to say it can go up. Not to mention Bitcoin. I know there's a lot of Bitcoin out there to be sold. Okay. So someone's asking about S Fund. Okay. So there's resistance at $1.60. Okay. Interesting that there's a 9 top, but it's not backing off. So I think realistically, it's got to take out $1.60. Now, this has obviously been a big gainer if you bought it near the lows. Prior 13 tops have led to dips. So I would say the support for the dip would be like $1.28 if you got that. If the thing broke out above 160, it would be an all-out breakout. Whoops, I forgot to share the screen. Okay. So again, S Fund, this is the 4-hour chart. $1.52 is resistance, and you've got a 13 top up here. So if this is really good, it won't go down. It won't budge. It'll just range trade. When you look at the daily chart on the DeMark work, $1.60 is the key level. If it breaks $1.60, it's game on. Okay, if you bought this at 90 cents, you might consider taking the profits at $1.60. It depends on your fundamental view, right? If this is something that was hot, that came out and dumped, and you want to give it a chance, give it a chance. All right, let's resum it up. The best trades are the toughest trades. I'm going to take a shot at being bullish. If I'm wrong, I'll lose money and people will make fun of me. Okay, if I'm right, Bitcoin could go to 36K. Tom DeMark was talking 40, right? And I think the more hesitant the market is at these levels, I think the more bullish it is. The harder it is to get long, right? The scarier it is. Like for me, it would have been less scary to buy ETH at 800. I've been like, oh God, it's Christmas. But now it's at 1200. That feels much harder to buy it. It does to me. So if the best trades are the toughest trades, upside is possible. If you've been hanging on in certain coins, you may hang on. I would recommend going over to Token Metrics to get out of dead money and find out what's moving on the altcoin front if this rally lasts beyond today. The Token Metrics subscription can pay for itself in 1 day or 1 week. Normally, I don't say that, okay? But if this thing's going to go up for a month, now is the time to do that if you were ever going to. This is Bill Noble from Token Metrics. I will see you on Monday.